Okay, we're back again, and we're still going to continue with the menu up at the top, layers palette, and opening other Photoshop files in order to bring into the document that you created by going up to File, New, and when you go to File, New, choose Blank File, and then here you can set your dimensions. You got pixels, which is basically the measurement on your TV screen, your computer screen, anything digital or video. And you can select inches, which is what I always do, or metrics, of course. Inches, and it's telling me this document is 8.3, almost 8.5 inches long by 1.2, 1.3 inches. Resolution, for the computer screen, or if you're doing anything for the web, it's always good to have a resolution of 72. But if you're going to plan to print this, it has to be a minimum of 200. Usually it's preferable to be 300. Color mode, you got RGB, grayscale, bitmap, which is something else. Bitmap is black and white. Background color, which is all this gray and white checkers that you see. You can designate the background color as white, background, which is what you see, and transparent, or actually transparent is what you see. And then you have the ability to choose the background color through the color tool. And I'll just click OK. I haven't named it. I'll just keep it Untitled 1. Just click OK. Oh, I made a new document. That's not what I want. So then if I go up to the menu and I want to make this image bigger, I go to Image, Resize, and I'll choose. I can either go to image size or canvas size. So if I want to make my you pretend the black and white background is your canvas, like you're painting a picture. Now it's telling me it's 65 inches by 10 inches, which is, well, it's actually great if you're making posters, but we're not making posters. We'll just cancel. Okay, so we're going to continue with the images that we got, work with the layers palette and some tools. When I refer to composition, it means filling up the entire picture plane, which is the gray and white that you see. We're going to bring in some images, and I already have one image from the first time we met. Very small. So I actually maybe want to rotate it and make it larger. So if I wanted to do that, to fill up that entire backspace, I would go up to the Move tool, and again, if you hold your cursor over each tool, it tells you what it is. I'll go to Move tool. Whoop. You got to be on the right layer that you want to work on. So we'll go down to the picture layer. Go back to the Move. Whoop. Got to get out. Okay, so now I'm in. If I go here, I can, to the corner of the picture, I can rotate it. And then if I go to the corners of the picture itself, I can just click and hold and pull up and out, or down and out, depending on what you want to do. I can stretch it by these little center squares here. So now I've filled up my entire composition. Almost. There's a couple of slivers there, but that's okay. I'm going to see how this color looks overlaid on top of this black and white image. So I'll go up to, say, the light purple. Click up. Oop, I got to get out. In order to get out of the bounding box, which is where you know what you get when you go to the move tool, you got to make sure you get out of it. Otherwise, it won't let you do anything. Okay, so if I hit the enter key, it closes it out. Go up to the purple layer. I can make that as bigger as well, and I think I will. And I'll just stretch it because it's just, oh, well, we'll just pretend that black and white's not there. Okay. Now I can scroll over, fill it up this way. I can fill it up this way, up and down. Okay. Enter key to get out of that. Now I can play with the blending modes. And I want the black and white in the background to kind of poke through the purple. So I'll go through each one of these filters. These filters actually refer to photography and what they used to do in the darkroom. Photoshop's been around for a long time. And the need for the darkroom, unless you're a traditional, is now in the day and age of digital. Okay, so we got color effects here by choosing a blending mode up in the layers palette. I'll keep that. All right. So, okay. That being said, I mean, there's a ton of filters that you can do in the blending palette here in the layers palette. And then up at the top, if you go to filters, you have a whole array of artistic filters, which will go in a later time. Okay. All right, so I want to bring another image, and you're going to be needing to know this for when you work on your this project and your final self-portrait project. So I'll simply just go File, Open, and wherever my images are stored, I can go up here and up to the top where it says Look In, and go to the folder where I'm storing my images. And I guess I will just scroll through and choose something, and I think maybe I'll take this guy or woman and go Open, and it automatically opens up into a second Photoshop document or file. And then if I go to the Move tool, I want to add these two together. I'll click, hold, and drag into the other document. Bink. There it goes. I want to get rid of that gray background. So, and also I actually want to make this, and you see it makes a new layer. So in order to get all that gray out of there, I go to the Move tool again. The bounding box comes up. I might have to, if I go Control minus, it'll reduce the image so I can see what I'm doing. And if I hold the Shift key, go to the corner, little square in the bounding box. If I hold the Control key, it'll make it uniform. It's supposed to. Yes. Maybe it didn't. Okay, so that's okay. What I want to do is get rid of that gray because I want all the background to show through. And again, you have the opacity up here, so if I go up here and I can actually deal with the opacity and do it that way, but I like to isolate things. It gives me better, and when you have every image on a separate layer, it's easy to move things around. Just remember, there's stacks of paper, stacks of drawings. I'll go to the Magic Wand tool, another selection tool. I double click on it. Up here I got my tolerance, anti-alias, I'll talk about that later. Contiguous, I'll talk about that later. And then I'll click on the gray. If it's one color, it'll select the whole gray. You might have to adjust the tolerance if it's multiple colors. If I go up to select, feather, soften the edges. Soften, it's feathering is just another word of softening the edges. And 30 is too big. It's usually good to stay between 5. Well, actually, when you're doing portraits or you're doing stuff for print, when you're printing people, it's usually good to feather about 2, but that's for another time. So let's go 5. Click OK. Hit the delete key, and it's gone. Now I can go back to the move tool and just move this however I want. I can rotate it. Any way I want. I think we'll keep it the way it was. Hit the enter key, got rid of that. Now I can go back and just for fun play with all these blending tools. Hard mix. Oh yeah, that's kind of weird. Overlay. Ooh, that's kind of mysterious. If I wanted to pump up the contrast, I would go to probably enhance. Go down to, I'm looking for levels. And basically what levels are is allows you to adjust the contrast of each particular image. I believe it is adjust lighting and over to levels, and watch what happens to the image when I move these sliders. This stands for highlight, these little triangles. This is the darkest dark, and this is the mid-range colors. So I'll slide this to the left. Did it? Okay, it did. And if I go to the right with the dark, I can make the darks darker. And if I adjust the middle tones, which I think I want to keep it like super saturated. What I mean by saturation is how strong the color is. Alright. And that triangle I might stick underneath the figure. And so, like, if I want a shadow under that human figure, I would take that layer, duplicate it by click holding and dragging to that piece of paper. Now I have 2. It made it brighter. And then I'll go up to enhance. I'll go to the move tool just to move it a little bit. And I can see what happens. I can actually duplicate it. I can actually maybe I won't. I'll just duplicate it. Hit enter key. Duplicate the layer again. Move tool. Slide it around. Rotate it. I'll do it upside down. So I got this crazy image now. You can see the creative possibilities on this. That's all for now because our recording's going to stop. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention is save every 5 to 10 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to lose what you got.